Welcome in, Buffs Nation, to another edition of S2S Colorado Live. As always, I'm your host, Manny. Make sure to give us a follow on X, or me a follow on X at Manny_303, IG at 303_Manny. If you guys want to ride along with the show, if you miss it, you can catch it on any major streaming podcast platform. Today we have a special guest of ours, so you may have seen him. I'm sure all of Buffs Nation has seen him on X. He does a fantastic job of getting us some scores out. So I'm going to welcome in. This is Miles. Miles, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So Miles came on, I've been kind of talking to him for the past couple weeks, asked him if he had any interest in coming on and talking about all those cool grades and stats and scores that he has been compiling throughout the year that we all kind of like. So Miles, I'm not even going to lie to you, man. I've been stealing some of your scores off of your Twitter account, man.
Hey, it's not mine. It's all I give the credit to PFF. I'm just a guy who likes to put it out on Twitter.
Perfect. All right. So we'll before we jump into this, Miles, I'd just like to give us a little bit about your background, where you're from, how you became a Buffs fan, just from early childhood to now.
Yeah, absolutely. So fun story. I'm originally from Maine, of all places, far northeast, land that's cold. Grew up, playing all different types of sports. Grew up in a really small town, and I knew when I was going to college that I wanted to go to like a big D1 school. So I was looking at like the Indianas, Penn States, Colorados of the world. And so I came in 2017. So obviously that 2016 season was so fun, so exciting. The Buffs are back. Team's lively. And so I'm looking at it, and I come out to Colorado. I fall in love with it, and I'm like, yes, this is going to be it. We're back. So that's kind of how I fell in love with the Buffs. And then I was there for 2017 through 2021, graduated. I don't think they were better than 5-7 or 6-6 the entire 4 years that I was there. So all the hype that I came in with, it was like every year just right off a cliff. So that's how I became a Buffs fan, just, that general 2016 season. But I kind of fell in love with it ever since, and continue to kind of follow along in my post-grad years.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And did you know of the Buffs before you went to college, before you started looking for colleges?
A little bit. Obviously, as you can imagine, like Maine is not a big football state. University of Maine is not a good football program either. And I think Maine is one of the few states where soccer is actually more popular than football. So I was like, I kept up with college football. I was more of an NFL guy. We were big Patriots fans in my household, so I was kind of always kept up with the NFL. But I was like, I knew of Colorado. I didn't know much about it. And when I, started touring schools and looking into it more when I was a teenager, really just fell in love with it. And black and gold is just such a cool color scheme. I could never imagine wearing like a red or a navy blue, just fell in love with it.
No, absolutely. That's very cool. And so one of the things that caught my eye is, at the Utah game, the Buffs were just getting killed. And there was I kept seeing these videos of these dudes cheering, like, oh yeah, like really into the game, cheering. And then I seen where you came around. You're like, oh, that's me. No, that's actually me. So what was tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So originally, that was right after the Iowa State game. And so there was a big part of me that was like, yes, this is the time. It's like the third time last season where I was like, we can, revamp, we'll bounce back. We've got it here. And I'd never been to Utah. It's a state away. And so I was like, heck, why not just hop in the car and go drive over there? And a buddy of mine, his name is Hudson, a really good friend of mine, was like, you don't want to go alone. I'll go with you. And so we hopped in the car. We did the 7-hour drive from Denver all the way over to Salt Lake. And it was great. We had a really great time out there. But when I tell you that like, I think Folsom is loud. Mm-hmm. Their stadium is loud. It is so we were like, Buffs run out. We're waving the flags. We're getting booed. We're on the big screen. And it just became real. It became real sad, real fast. And that one of the things that was great about it was like the Utah fans, they started to realize how tough it was for us. And so they were like bringing us cookies. They're like offering to buy us jerseys. And like, we're sitting there, we're having a great time. We're going to drive that far. We're going to cheer on our Buffs. And so sure enough, it gets to that wonderful Ryan Staub tush push for the 1 yard touchdown. And it was 52-0 at that point. So of course I'm like, yes. Yeah. And of course, it just like happens to be some Utah fan who catches it. And all the fans around us were like cheering with us because they were just so happy that we got to see something. And there's that moment where I turn around, I high five the guy and whatnot. But it just was one of those, like, I've tried to work on taking, college football less seriously as I've gotten a little bit older. And like, you can't sit there and pout. You can't leave, like you just got to cheer on the guys as they play. And it was really good for me and my friend to have that moment that's like kind of captured for the rest of our eternities together.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I saw that and I was like, man, these dudes are dedicated. And then it kept going and kept going. It's like, and then you post that. I was like, that's awesome. And I think it was at that point, it's like, okay, I got to get him on the show. Sure. I do all these. Now we can put a face kind of to it. I mean, totally. Obviously I couldn't see the your face on it, but I was like, if that's him, like we need to get him on the show here. So to talk a little more. Yeah, no, very cool. Yeah, that is that's awesome though. I thought that video was right. It's one of those things when just makes lights up your day a little bit, right? When it's really things aren't going well, right?
Totally. If anybody wants to see it, my handle is right down here. It's pinned on my profile, and it's just me and my buddy, celebrating it out in Utah. So check it out.
Yep, at Miles High Buffs. So make sure you guys give them a follow. Follow. Check that video out though. It's pretty awesome. So today on the show, guys. So Miles is going to join us. We're going to talk ball today. We're going to go over Ralphie Report, news and notes, recruiting / signing day, and then do a season recap with all these different grades, and just really, really deep dive into this Colorado Buffalo season. Not a ton of good numbers with it, but I think, worth diving into and worth jumping into. So, let's jump right into this. We have the Ralphie Report. So, if you did not know, the Buffs hired an offense coordinator last week. It was Sacramento State's head coach, Brennan Marion. Miles, what do you know? Do you know anything about Brennan Marion?
Yeah, I remember around the time when, pre-Coach Prime, when they wanted him in Boulder as an OC under Carl Durrell. And around that time, I think there wasn't a whole lot of talent. And that was one of the things that Coach Marion had made known was his affinity for making the most with less talent on the field. Obviously, they didn't go with him. I think they went with Coach Sanford at the time. But I think one of the things that makes Coach Marion so attractive is like, never again will we look at a Colorado Buffalo's offensive drive and go, what are they trying to do here? Yep. So I'm super excited about this. I know he's a great recruiter. He has a lot of, NFL guys who speak very highly of him. And I think he's going to come into Boulder. He's going to completely reshift this offense. And we're going to have a lot of fun this upcoming year.
Yep. Nope. I agree. I think it's a good fit. Everybody's just, I've seen a couple people talking about, well, Julian Lewis can't run the options. Like that's not, please stop. Just stop with that.
I think a lot of people, Juju himself, actually, like, I think a lot of people perceive that Julian Lewis in high school was just throwing 40-yard bombs every single play. But like, if you go back and watch his offense, they ran more RPOs than people think. Yep. And the other part about it is like, the go-go offense is not a purely running style quarterback offense. It's like more designed for a Steve Nash type of point of quarterback where you just need a distributor. You need somebody who's smart, gets it to the receivers, and is accurate. If that's not Julian Lewis, then I don't know who is.
Yeah. Check, right?
Exactly.
One of the things that we talked about as well, early in the season. So I huge into, the individuals that follow the show, just huge into high school football recruiting. When they signed Julian, I was just like blown away. And, it was after maybe the first 2 games, I was kind of like, okay, so what does Caden Salter do better than Julian Lewis? Because Julian Lewis can move. And what we started to know, throughout the season, I said, look, I would not be shocked if Julian Lewis, what it looks like is he can run better than Caden Salter. There's not a thing that he does better than Juju.
I think you're going to be very surprised when we get into some of the numbers, especially when we get really into the deep dives of like when blitzed, not blitzed. Juju is a much better runner than people think, but I also don't think that last year's offense was suited very well for Caden's strengths, and it was very evident. But I do think that they're going to be selective when they have Juju run in this new offense, but it's going to be very effective when he does.
And there was no rhyme or reason last year to what was going on. It was that was a train wreck, right? And couldn't look away from it. So, but with Coach Brendan Marion, here's what he had to say. So I was trying to find some good quotes and this and that. This is the best I could find, guys. What he said was, humbled to be sought out by the best to ever do it in football. Coach Prime, it's my mission to make sure we put a great product on the field that the entire CU family can be proud of. Sco Buffs. So, yeah, that's big time. I mean, like you said, Miles, this is a fantastic hire. I had a good friend of mine reach out, and he was like, what a huge hire. And I was like, okay, because, I'll just say this, as everyone knows, I'm a West Coast guy. So I was like, yeah, get Jerry Newheisel. That's who I wanted. And then, we went, he goes, no, we're in good hands. And then I started going back and I was like, oh, UNLV. Okay. I know exactly who this guy is now at this point. So,
yeah, I think too, outside of just the pure offensive identity and how well his teams run the football, which I think is something that we've lacked pretty significantly over the last couple of years, him having the #1 FCS recruiting class and having a real love for recruiting. I saw there was in some message board, one of the Adams of the world, Adam Munster Tiger. I don't know who it was, but they basically said if CU's at a 20 right now in terms of offers going out, expected to get to 20,000 because that he loves to do it. He loves to recruit. He knows what he wants and he's going to go get it. And I think that's just so exciting, especially with how much we're going to be, relying on the portal here coming up. I think we could see a really big influx on the offensive side in terms of players wanting to come play in Boulder.
Nope, absolutely. Yeah. And that, you hit that right on the head. The next question was about high school recruiting, how you see that faring. And again, it's already paying dividends, right? And, totally. When we get into the recruiting side, there's a couple, and it sounds like 2 or 3 more, without saying names, that are on the way from Sac State as well. In the portal, I mean, it's going to pay off. Yeah, it's going to pay off massively. I'm a big fan of Brendan Marion already, and just glad we have him. So I know that there was, who was it? Laura Levy. So, right, one of the big time CU fans, right? So she went and she was asking about the go offense, and there's a whole 3-minute video that someone posted on there. So if you guys want more information about what that's supposed to look like, go check out her Twitter page. It is a fantastic, or X page, whatever they're calling it, and go check that out. It is a fantastic 3-minute video of a breakdown of it.
Yeah, I think that like you said, going on the recruiting side of things, I think they're going to have guys who want to come play in this offense, but there's also guys like DeKalen Taylor, that guy's going to have an absolute ball out of a season next year. Even guys like Simeon Price. I don't know if they're going to keep Draylen Miller in the backfield, but the running backs that we have on our team right now, if they could run the ball last year, they're going to run the ball next year.
Yeah, and I was looking at that with Simi. Are they giving him a medical red shirt? Do you know?
I don't know. Right? He tweeted out a buffalo emoji,
okay.
and unless he's just telling people that he loves the Buffs, I tend to think that is a sign that he knows something.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that they told Ben Finiseth that he had an extra year of eligibility back in May. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming if he knows something.
Yep.
But I know he was such a really great culture guy and really fit the Buffalo's mantra. So I hope we get him back. I think he's a really good addition.
Yeah, I thought so too. It took a couple weeks, but once he got going, and then he just got hurt, and that sucked. So I was real excited with him. And then DeKalen, because he's a senior, right? Did he get because they went out at the same time.
Yeah, I don't, to be honest with you, when it comes to because some of the JUCO ruling and COVID years, I really have no idea how to keep track of. You go to their page on the website and it says came in with 1 year to play, but then they haven't. It's I have no idea. All I know is that those guys, the guys that want to be here and right the wrongs and really turn this thing around, I'm not going to stop them.
Nope, absolutely not. Yeah, I think those are the two I was trying to find more information out on. I guess, we'll see, but it does feel like both of them should be returning. I mean, I don't even think they got to that fourth game, right? Because they got hurt both in it was against Houston, right? Game 3.
I don't think either of them did. I can double check here.
Okay.
But,
I think that was their last game, so that would even put him at 3.
Simeon got to 4.
Oh, man.
Which is fine. You can get up to 4. And then DeKalen also got to 4. So as long as they don't have a red shirt, they can run back.
I think, too, if you did red shirt, you can get a medical red shirt because they didn't play again after that. So I think they're good to go on that. But yeah, I'm really excited for this offense. I'm going to dive more into it as we get closer to the season, I'm sure. I think right now we're all kind of caught up in the recruiting and what's happening. And, oh, my God, right, everybody's kind of freaking out a little bit, right?
Totally.
But, yeah, so Big 12 news, too. Let's jump into that. So if you didn't watch, Texas Tech beat BYU 34-7. BYU jumped out to 7-0 lead, and it was like a 7-8 minute drive to start. What did you think? But how did you think that game was going to go, Miles? If you did you watch it?
I did watch it.
Okay.
I think just based on what I saw from BYU this season, like you never want to count them out of anything. But Texas Tech is just a steamroller of a team, man. Like their defense is nasty. Bear Morton's really only got to do the bare minimum to get them across the finish line. But I give all the credit to BYU. They had a heck of a season, and sometimes you run into a juggernaut, and there's nothing else you can say about it.
No, that team is they're built like in the trenches, like a SEC Big Ten team. That pass rush is insane. They are just way better than everybody else in the Big 12. My wife, so she has family, I share this all the time in Lubbock. And so they're all Tech fans. And I say, gosh, thank God we didn't have to play them this year because we played them last year, So,
I tweeted it out, but I went back and just for old time's sake and rewatched that game from last year and the memories, man. That team was nasty, and you just had no doubt that they were going to come back and be able to do it. But I think the big thing that's really interesting about this is a couple of years ago, Texas A&M tried to build a roster with a bunch of money, and it blew up in their face, and everyone was like, you can't do it that way. This is the first time that they were openly like, we're going to build a roster with the most money possible, and it worked. You have to give them the credit.
Absolutely. I mean, maybe some, I don't know a ton about Tech, behind the scenes, like the recruiting staff, or if they changed evaluations, whatever it may be. But man, they absolutely had a huge portal season last year. And now look at this. And then, even into 27, they have, and then this year, 26 as well, right? They are just landing top recruit after top recruit after top recruit, and that's what money will get you.
Yeah, I remember there was at one point they interviewed their director of player personnel or somebody on the Texas recruiting staff, and he openly said, yeah, if players come to us and they want more money, we'll give them more money. He was like, we'll give them $500,000 more than any other team's giving them. Why would we not?
Yeah.
And it's sad for the sake of college football. You don't want that to be the world, but it's the world that we live in, and you can't hate the player, hate the game.
No, not at all. Not at all. I don't know what it is. Like I always say, is they're building this thing in the air right now. It is, and we'll see where they end up landing on it. But right now it is crazy, right? The third party NIL, right? Because Cody Campbell, you have there in Texas, in Lubbock, you have that Matador Club that is insane.
We got to start drilling oil out here in Colorado.
Something, man. I know we got to do something here, right? To get that kind of money. So, but yeah, do you think? So, did you get a chance to look at the playoff bracket?
Yep, I watched the selection show. I don't really have too many quarrels with it personally. I saw all the Notre Dame fallout and them complaining about it, but they lost to Miami. I don't have much else to say. You lost in the games you had to. You lost to Texas A&M. You're not in a conference, so you don't get the auto bid. And that's just you dug your own grave. It's just unfortunate.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, that my same thoughts exactly. So I Gosh, I hate Notre Dame, so you're gonna get the wrong. Yeah, I am. So yeah, growing up, I grew up as a USC fan until we
Sure.
came to Colorado and all that. I still like USC, but yeah, I hate them. So nicely put. Like they do got to join a conference at some point. This cannot keep happening, And then that AD came out and said, "Well, if we're ranked in the top 12 moving forward," and it's like, dude, why would you say that part out loud? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, did you see that today?
Yeah, I did.
Or yesterday, I guess it was. Yeah.
It's the other part about it, which is so like, and again, this goes back to like the whole ruining college football thing.
Yep.
Them pulling out of the bowl game is just like, I would do something like that when I was an 8-year-old kid. I heard this on a different podcast today, but it's the taking the ball home, when you don't get picked on the team thing. It's sad. Like you got it for those kids. It's just bad for the sport.
Yep. Yeah, and I don't know how true this was. I didn't follow it a ton today, but they were talking about basically they said, that the seniors voted. I don't know how true that was or not. I don't nobody quote me on that, but that is what I heard. Again, I don't know how true, because all these different reports come out, and that was early this morning though, so I could be completely off with that. So I don't know how real that is or not, but it was yeah, I don't know if that was the case. It's still, I still don't like it either.
I have to imagine that in one way or another, the team was involved. Like if it was just Marcus Freeman that was like, we're not playing, I'm assuming they would all be like, somebody would come out and say something. So yeah. I don't know. It's sad either way. Like, I don't know how, if I got a chance, looking back in high school, the last time I ever played, if I had a chance to play one more game with like the people that I actually, considered brothers, I would do anything for that. So you kind of lose that opportunity. It stinks.
Yeah, nope, I'm with you 110%. You think so Tech gets the 4 seed, BYU, do you think they got snubbed?
No, BYU was a heartwarming story. I don't think they got snubbed. I looked at it when it was going live, and I was like, it makes sense. Alabama being in is a little bit weird, but you kind of always expect Alabama to be in. I guess I'll flip this back on you. Like, what is your thoughts on the whole G5 auto bids and like JMU and Tulane being in?
I think there only should have been one of them.
Yeah.
I think Tulane. Again, maybe that's just more the national spotlight and all that, but right. I think they should have got in. I don't think JMU has any business in the college football playoff. But then, and I don't think Alabama should have got in with 3 losses. I mean, those 3, you lose to Florida State. Like I don't understand that piece of it. But again, who do you put in then at that point, right? Because there is Vanderbilt. There's you know what I mean? Like BYU, Notre Dame, who comes in at that point? So it's I'm not sure though. Yeah.
I see Larry in the chat. Yeah, it's hard. Like that game in and of itself against Florida State was the first game of the season. Like, how do you really knock a team for, it's a brand new season, new staff. Like it's hard to really come to terms with that. It's cool seeing JMU post Signetti still thriving, and then Jake Retzloff leads Tulane, to the CFP. But at the end of the day, like, I just don't want a recap of what happened last year, where the first round games are all blowouts and it's super boring.
Yep, and I think that JMU and Tulane are set up for that. Regardless, no Lane Kiffin there at Ole Miss for Tulane, but it's just and again, they're the one that is more deserving. But again, I don't know. I just think JMU would have lost. BYU, Notre Dame, Vanderbilt, those handful of teams would have beat them that are the next 4 or 5 in line there. So
yeah,
it is what it is. I'm everyone gets bent out of shape about the 11 and 12 seed though. And it's just kind of like, well, I don't think 11 and 12 seed is ever going to win it though. And that's just kind of the reality of it. Right. So, and again, never say never, but that just feels like, it just doesn't feel like it. Right.
Yeah, and then you have the alternative scenario where it's like, you don't give them a chance. What are they playing for, right? Yep. It's like, why even go to any of those schools if you don't even have a shot at the college football playoff?
True.
So, there's always like, I'm rooting for Ole Miss. I'm an underdog guy. The whole I don't like the Lane Kiffin leaving thing, so I'm really hoping that they make a run and prove him wrong. But I also could see a world where Tulane has a upset there just because of the instability.
I'm glad you said that because I don't think I'm. I don't think I didn't have enough in me to say that. So I'm gonna let you live with that one. So guys, if he is completely wrong, you guys go after because that's kind of what I wanted to say. I was like, I'm not gonna put myself out there in front of everybody.
Yeah. No, I mean, we'll see. It's going to be interesting, and I'm just curious to know whether or not they're going to keep this format moving forward, or if they're going to have to revamp it somehow.
Yeah, 16 is seeming more likely, right? As we get, I mean, again, I don't know how much it matters because one of those, and I know Ohio State, but that was different last year. But you almost feel like one of the top 4 teams is going to win it. And almost you want to feel like one of these top 3 teams, right? Like Indiana. I don't know if and I want to see Texas Tech play against a really, really good team because, if we're being completely honest, Big 12 didn't have a really good second team this past year, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I still think that it's at the end of the day, I think Ohio State and Georgia on that one side, to me, that's kind of your national championship. I think Indiana's great. It's going to be interesting. I also like Texas A&M, but at the end of the day,
me too.
That loss was not great, and Miami can always surprise some people,
right? Like that 7-10, 8-9 game is going to be interesting. Especially, I mean, this one, right? They beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Now they're going to Norman, right? And it's like, well, but then you're kind of like, well, Alabama, yeah, they're going to go in and beat Oklahoma, right? Then you start doing that, so. Yeah, I'm confused with it. So, but yeah, if you had to pick today, who are you picking to win it all?
Oh gosh, to play it safe, I'm picking Ohio State. I just top to bottom, like I know Indiana won, and that's really huge. But I think having been to the mountaintop, and I think Ryan Day getting that off his shoulders, I think that they're going to be built for a run. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to really just line up for them pretty well.
Yeah, I'm rooting for Indiana, I think, right? Because they're the 1 seed, but they feel like the underdog, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So I'm rooting for Indiana, but I don't know I would say you're probably looking at an Indiana, maybe Ohio State rematch. I mean, it's going to be Ohio State or Georgia on that side, right? So, but then I'm curious to see if Tech wins and plays Indiana, what does that look like? So I'll take Indiana today. So that's just where I'm going today.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm a sucker for an underdog too. Even though they are the 1 seed, they feel like an underdog. It's weird.
Yeah.
I think Signee is really likable. I think Mendoza, shout out to my brother. My brother had it first. He called that he was going to be a really good quarterback. So, I think it's a likable team. And going back to it, it's like there's not a whole lot of 5 or 4 stars. I don't think there's any on that team. So that really shows you what a good coach can do at a program with decent resources.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. I'm rooting for him. I like Mendoza though for other reasons, and I always say I don't share my NFL team with people on here because I'm trying to gain fans, not lose them. So I'm just like sealed lips about that. So,
sure.
But yeah, so I'm rooting for Mendoza for other reasons though. So.
I hear you.
All right, let's. Heisman candidates were released about 45 minutes or so ago. Fernando Mendoza. All right, quarterback Indiana, Julian Sain, quarterback Ohio State, Diego Pavia, quarterback Vanderbilt, and Jeremiah Love, running back Notre Dame. So let's start with this. Who do you think is going to win it?
I think it's going to be Mendoza, personally. I think there is some element of leading your team to the number 1 seed. I think he has like that play at the end of that game. Like I don't think it's a Heisman moment per se, but like he's got a couple of those in his back pocket that. It just the storyline adds up a little bit too well, and I think he's a likable enough character where they'll give it to him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm with you too with Mendoza. I just think he's right. Like he led Indiana to the Big Ten title and the number 1. Like this is Indiana. We're not talking basketball here. We are talking football. Like football in the Big Ten, they just beat Ohio State. Like it's not basketball, right? And so this is kind of. This is where I'm at. I believe. I think he's going to win it. And just the season they had, man, they're a dangerous team. It feels like, but I don't know. It does feel like something's up, but I think he's going to win it. I'm going to throw it back to you though. Who do you think like, who do you think, if you had to put your vote in, who are you voting for today?
For me, it's Pavia.
Okay.
Just purely on like, he's played so well. Getting Vanderbilt to the point of where they are out of like, you can say the same thing for Mendoza, but just getting Vanderbilt to where they've been. He's also just got a really like a borderline cult fan base behind him, and the moments have been awesome. You can see the Johnny Football comparisons in there. I would put it in for him just because I love that story. But at the same time, Mendoza, like it's hard to vote against Mendoza. The only one I would be okay with any of these besides Julian Sayin. I personally don't like Julian Sayin as a Heisman guy. And if I really if I had my say, I'm taking Jacob Rodriguez from Texas Tech.
Man, I can't believe
insane season.
I saw that he wasn't even invited. I mean, I didn't think he was going to, but it was that dude is gosh, man, that dude is a monster. Like I'm so glad we did not have to play Texas Tech this year.
I'm a sucker for like a top tier linebacker. You know what I mean? Like just a guy that changes the game from the defensive side of the ball. I would have given it to him if I had a vote, but that's why I'm not a voter.
No, I don't think. Yeah, not a lot. I mean, this year, even just the AP votes this year, like, I almost feel like, my son, by the way, is named Miles. So very cool name, cool. Miles. Nice. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he could do a way better job of filling out his AP ranking this year. And it was like, and he's 8, but he was like sometimes like hey Dad, how come Tennessee's still ranked? And I'm like, dude, I don't know. Like, well, how come they would rank them in front of the? And it's like, yeah, dude, I know. Just it doesn't really even matter anymore. So
the thing that drives me insane, and you probably see this too, is when they put out the ESPN FPI rankings, and they've got like Auburn in there at number 17. And I'm like the bias is insane. But I agree with Ben's been dead in the chat. Heisman got to go to Mendoza. Yep. I just think like, total body of work, I think it makes sense, even if it's not my personal choice.
Yep. And I would think I'm Diego Pavia. What he did at Vanderbilt is even more insane than what Mendoza did at Indiana. That's Vanderbilt. And I mean, you think about it this way too. Vanderbilt without Diego Pavia, do they land Jared Curtis, right? The number 1 quarterback last week? And no, absolutely not. So this is crazy. So I think, what he did was impressive. Man, but I think Julian Sayin finishes 4, but I would be okay with Jeremiah Love or Mendoza winning it. And again, I hate Notre Dame, but I would be totally I'm going to keep stressing that. I just can't stand them. But Jeremiah Love, I would be if him or Mendoza won it, and I guess Pavia, I'd be okay with all 3 of them winning it. The only one that I think shouldn't is Julian Sayin, and he'll need another year there at Ohio State. So
but I'm putting it out there now. All right, you can clip this if you want. Julian Lewis for Heisman 2026.
Hey, that go. You're not going to get it from me.
27.
What are we at? 20? I think it's 20. I don't know.
I think this is technically whatever next year is.
26. I'm with you. Yeah, I have been high on him since day one, and again, I'll tell this story again, but it was last year I was watching film, going through it, and I was like, damn, USC landed a sick quarterback. Like, no wonder why he wants to go play with Lincoln Riley's offense, right? I was like, this is huge. And then chatter started to come in the summer. He's going to visit. I was like, wait, Julian Lewis is going to Boulder? And they just and blew up. And here we are. And then when they landed him, I was like, you got to be kidding me. So I was blown away. He is the best quarterback that I've evaluated over the past 7 years that I've been looking at high school players. So I was like, there's no way in hell he's going to CU, and ended up committing about almost a year ago today. So it was fantastic, though. So, I'm with you there. So you're not going to get any pushback from me on that.
Totally. I also think that USC, from what I understood, it sounded like they picked Hassan Longstreet over Julian and basically told Julian, you got to go find somewhere else. I think they're going to regret that pretty heavily. I don't. Longstreet, I think he reminds me a lot of Jason Campbell, just that elongated release. And I think, I think that might be ceiling for him. And again, Jason Campbell at Auburn was really good though. So, totally.
But not like Julian Lewis, I've been saying it since I started, that kid's going to win a Heisman one day. So
100%.
Yep. So I'm with you there, man. So let's dive into recruiting signing day. So 13 total prospects. Now it was not, the fireworks that we were expecting with the Buffs. It was not, I think we were all kind of thinking by year. What is this? Is this year 3 recruiting, right? Or is this the 4th off season? I can't remember because he came 3 years ago.
This technically would be the 4th
off season. So I thought that they'd be further along with high school players, right? You know, all the, you know, those programs that you see outside of Texas Tech that are dominating they build those pieces, you know, in the high school, have them in their program, build them up, and then you know, they use the other ones as supplemental. They use the portal for like, okay, we need this, and supplement a little bit. Whereas Colorado, it is just, and I don't know if this was the plan. You know, I've heard this was the plan all along to just kind of recruit, you know, 13 to 17, 18 high school players and then fill the rest of the roster out with portal players. I mean, well, you heard anything around that, Miles? Or
no? I mean, the standalone like mantra from what I've understood is they only want guys who want to be here, and they only want guys that can play on day one. I mean, like, you look at the classes prior to this, and they thought they had a couple of guys that were going to be contributors year 1, year 2, year 3. And by year 3, they don't hit the field. They haven't progressed at all. And I think that's like, they're shifting their focus to specific spots of need and guys that are ready to go on day one. It stinks. Like, for example, you bring in a guy like Mantrez Walker and he's out within a year. Like, that's a really hard one to swallow. But at the end of the day, you hit on guys like London Merritt and McPherson, and I see that as a win at the end of the day. If you can get a couple of guys out of every class that you really hit on, I don't care if you bring in 10 of them. I don't care if you bring in 30 of them. All I care is about the 5 to 8 that you really, you know, are diamonds in the rough.
Yep. And, you know, I know a couple years ago, was it last off season, that Prime, you know, they're asking Prime, because, well, you know, we're going to hit the portal and we're going to hit it hard. And someone asked, well, why is that? You know, because you lose 50% of them within the first 2 years anyway. Like, why are we going to go spend all these resources here and here? Right. And it was just kind of, well, yeah, you got a point. And, you know, it is, you know, it's around 50% now, right? That at every university now. So I get it completely. But let's jump into this though. 13 total prospects. So I'm going to put this up. So here are your Colorado signing day commitments. These are the players that are signed on the left, committed. So we were talking about Brennan Marion, about what he can bring to the Buffs. And as you guys can see here, let me move these comments out of the way. So Xavier McDonald, he is one that was committed to Sac State, and Brennan Marion is able to bring him over with him. He decommitted, you know, that day and signed with the Buffs a couple days ago. So he's a Buff 4-star wide receiver. And then if you look at all the players that were signed, you know, I'll go through the stars. You know, DeMonte Pecco Jr., Preston Ashley, Alexander Ward. So those are 4 stars. And then Carson Crawford. So on 3, he's a 3-star. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and go find the higher star grade. Mm-hmm. So Carson Crawford on 24/7 is a 4-star. And then we see the rest. Now, a big one was Christian Ward, and where's our other guy? The Ward brothers. So they got them both, Alexander Ward and Christian Ward. I can't remember which one it was that is reclassified, because one should be going into their senior year of high school. But they, since I can't remember which one it is, but one of them should be doing that. They committed early and decided to enroll early this year and forgo their senior year in high school to get onto the Colorado team with their brother. And the younger one plays cornerback and wide receiver. So
yeah, Alex is the one that reclassified. Perfect. So you have those 2 brothers in, and again, you know, everyone's like, oh, it's our next Travis Hunter. It's like, guys, please stop doing that to these kids. Like, that is a one-of-one dude. I don't even know if we're ever going to see a Travis Hunter at any university in our lifetime. So please stop doing that. For one. But I think those were some pretty, you know, it ended pretty well with these 3. Still a couple offers out there I know of. What did you think of the class, Miles? Overall, I think one of the things that people need to remember is it's really hard to get high-level players to commit to your university when you have a season like you just did. I was really bummed out. I thought Gavin Mueller was a guy that, you know, I really, when they got him as a 3-star and then he got bumped up, I really was hoping he would stick around. But overall, I mean, like, you bring in a couple of trench players, a couple of line, that was really good. Linebackers, I think the linebackers that they brought in are going to be some pretty hidden gems, I guess you could say.
Yep.
Couple corners, couple receivers. I think overall it's a strong class of guys who want to be here. I think you have a guy like Preston Ashley, who is going to be the leader of that class, who's going to come in and really want to be a buff for the long haul. And then I love me some big O linemen, want to eat, want to play dirty. So I'm not too worried about it. I think that, again, with a season like we just had, you do have like a level. There's not going to be a bunch of high school kids who can turn 3-9 to 9-3. So you get the guys that want to be here, the guys that you really want to hit on and you think have a lot of potential. And then you round out the roster with the more experienced guys that can come in and play on day one.
Nope, I agree with you. And yeah, and I think too, what's different about this class, and you were hitting on it, was that offensive line, right? You see these different, right? They really, really went after that, right? So you have, here we go, Xavier Payne, Bangula, Josiah Manu. You have those three, and there was one more we're missing somewhere. Maybe it's underneath there, but there should be one more in there. But those offensive linemen, you're not going to find a ton of those guys in the portal. So this was just, you have to hit on those guys. You have to recruit offensive line and defensive line. There's not many of those dudes like that in the portal. It is very hard to build your offensive line, your trenches in the portal. So I think there was an emphasis on that. I know they got a couple decommitments. So what is it? Payne, Gula, Manu. I thought there was one more. Am I missing?
I think that's it.
That's it. Okay. Did they have one decommit? I know that, or maybe they were after one, but
they had Emmanuel Ruffin was a D line.
Yeah.
I don't think there was any other O line.
He committed and then after his visit and decommitted a couple weeks later. I think.
I never thought he was going to be a buff from day one.
It was weird, that whole thing. Yeah. But rankings, they were ranked 60th in the country. So they were going in as like the 95th, 96th, and then 12th in the Big 12 overall. So now I think here's the part, though. They have an 87.62 average rating. It ranks 5th in the Big 12. So they are going after more of the high-end players, like we talked about in the high school ranks. So when you do something like that, again, these are kids that they're hoping they hit on and guys that are going to be seeing the field next year, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I also think Alex Ward, for example, they wouldn't, I don't want to say that they pressure guys to reclassify, but they thought Juju was ready. So they brought him up because he could. I think they probably see the same in Alex and they think that he can come over earlier. I think a late flip, like a Braylon Edwards, that was really surprising. I don't know about you. I didn't hear anything about that in advance. But that bolsters your secondary a little bit more. And again, I think you have a couple leaders in this class. I think Carson Crawford's going to be a really good player as well. And I'm not overly worried about it because when I look at that list from top to bottom, I'm like, everybody on this list is a talented ball player and they want to be here. So I'm not overly worried about it. I think the majority of those kids will stay around for a couple of years too.
Yep, I agree. And I think, one of the big ones when they offered Braylon Edwards, I was like, thank God, because that's a kid, this is, I don't know how that guy's a 3-star. To me, he should be a 4, but whatever happened tonight, it does seem like he wanted to be a buff. So he was kind of holding out a little bit, declining other offers, those kind of things. But I'm pumped that he's a buff. This kid is going to have a big career for Colorado. In my opinion, just, Duncanville, Texas, that is a high level high school football in the state of Texas. So I am, I'm thrilled for this kid.
100%. And these are all positions of need. I would have loved to see some D-line being mixed in a little bit more. But overall, you hit on spots that you needed to. And again, I'm hoping that they actually produce on the field as well.
Right. Yeah. And I know the transfer portal, the portal, whether this was the plan or not, you are going to have to get in there, spend money, and you're going to have to hit if you want to be competitive next year. And again, I think what it seems like is now that's the plan. That is where everything's shifting towards. This portal is going to, I think they're going to have a big portal class. What do you think, Miles?
Yeah, I think this is one of those topics that I feel like people don't read between the lines enough about. You think back to what happened this last year, and I don't think that there were bad players on this team. I think that there were players that didn't mesh well together. And I think there were players that were more interested in money than they were in actual being a Colorado Buffalo. And I think it's really hard people very much underestimate how hard it is to get good players to come to your team when your head coach is not in the building. And that's not to say that like it's Deion's fault or anything, but like you bring guys in, you can sell them on Boulder, you can sell them on Pat Shermer and Rob Livingston and you know, all these guys, these assistant coaches. But like, if you don't have your head coach there, you don't really see a lot of like what you're really coming for. And they missed on guys that were really important. But at the end of the day, like it's Corey Phillips' job. It's Coach Box's job to bring in talent. And that's what they tried to do. I don't think that they have the ability to overrule any of those decisions. Like if they wanted to get the number 1 D tackle in Boulder, you know, in Jaheim Otis, who they're not going to go out there and be like, I don't know if he's really bought into football. We're not going to bring him in. They're bringing in the talent that they can on paper. It's coach's job. It's Coach Prime's job to say, I don't know if he fits our system. I don't know if he fits our culture. So they brought in guys that they thought were going to be good. Now I think they have the resources from what I've heard. They've got the head guy who's there and eager to bring in, you know, the top talent to right this ship. And then they've got coaches that are willing to go out and recruit. So I'm super excited. I think they're going to be big time players. And I think they're going to bring in those talented guys that they're going to need for next season.
Yep, absolutely. And I think this portal is going to be huge. I'm excited for it. You know, again, you know, January 2nd through January 16th. There's that 2 weeks there, right? They have 2 weeks there. And again, you know, I think right now it's so-and-so's entered the portal everywhere. Just trying to keep up with it. So it is massive. And again, guys, if you want to follow the portal, what I'm going to tell you guys is this is a new website that I found that I've been using. It's transferportal.network. It is fantastic. It's analytical driven. Check it out. Again, it's transferportal.network, but it is a fantastic website. Check it out. They have everything, you know, if you're looking for, and I believe they have the PFF grades on there, so don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure, you know, career snaps on there. It is, it is. That is what I've been using. You know I like On3 24/7. I like using those, but this, and Maz, if you ever transferportal.network, it is fantastic. So check that out. But I do think the Buffs are going to, I don't think they have a choice at this point, right? They're going to hit. And again, like you said, from what you heard, there's going to be more money. And again, I've heard the same as well. So yeah, we'll see what they can get done this offseason. They got about a month now, a little less than a month to start getting things in order and ready to attack the portal.
Yeah. I think like, I look back on last portal and like, for example, if you remember like Harrison Taggart, the BYU linebacker, they were in a battle with Cal.
Yeah.
I think you win that one if you have Deion in the building. I think, the safety from Purdue that went to Oregon, like the or something, whatever his name was.
Real good player. Yep.
Yeah. They were in his contention too. I think you're going to have a much better chance having your head coach there. I think the question that still remains for me is like, we personally don't know who's still in the building. We don't know if they're swapping some guys out, they're bringing in new staff. But at the end of the day, I trust them. And I think I've already seen a good amount of guys in there that you probably see my tweets underneath where I'm like, this is what we need, you know? Yep. So I think it's going to be fruitful to say the least. But I think at the end of the day, it all comes down to just finding guys that fit your culture and what you're trying to build, as opposed to just like the guys that rank the highest.
Yep. And I think they got a little carried away with that last year. And,
100%.
Absolutely. So let's jump into the season recap now where this is Buffs finished 3-9, 15th in the Big 12. I didn't see that one coming. This team was, you just mentioned it on a star ranking, just 4 stars everywhere, which is frustrating, right? And again, I think it was because they took the wrong guys. And some of these things, a star can't measure. You cannot measure until they're in the building. The leadership concerns that started to come out, the work ethic concerns, like you said, some of them are there just to collect a check. And that is what, that's what seemed like happened last year. And again, with Prime not being there to talk to these kids, look them in the eye, ask them what their intentions are, to be able to make that decision, like, hey, like this is what we are not looking for, right? So so let's just start with this defense. Man, that was a disaster. And one of the things is that came up immediately was missed tackles. How did that look this past year, Miles?
Oh, wow. What a fun. I remember, you probably remember it too. And it was like rounding out the season, there was the Arizona game and their first touchdown. I think 8 different guys touched him on his way to the end zone.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the moment where I think you might have reached out to me right after that. You're
I think
like, I need to know what the numbers here are.
What were the missed tackles?
Yeah, total missed tackles on the season, 129. In terms of the Big 12, that's 13th out of the 16 teams in the Big 12, 108th in the country. You're led by Preston had 13 missed tackles, Tawfiq had 12, and then Carter, DJ, JB, and French all had 9.
Jeez, holy cow! I still can't believe that doesn't rank last in the Big 12. That is crazy. Do you know who was behind him by a chance?
I could probably look it up real quick.
But 108. 129 missed tackles, and Preston missing. I wonder. Yeah, see, Preston is. I know he got better as the season went on in coverage, but they ended up having to move him to safety at the end of and that makes more sense.
He also played significantly more snaps than anybody else did. I don't think people realize that. He was on the field for like borderline double the next closest player. Yeah. He was on the field basically the whole season. So you're bound to rack up some level of statistics, good or bad, when you do that. But ultimately at the end of the day, it was not good. I don't know if it's a coaching issue. I don't know if it's you're 3-7 at that point, and you're kind of like, I'm just doing it. You're like, your heart's not really behind it. Right. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, like for example, if I look at total tackling,
that's crazy. Holy cow.
Yeah, it's not good. 108th. What was the question you asked before?
Who was behind them in the Big 12?
Oh, in the Big 12.
That is crazy. Like, I thought they were going to like win that by like 20, 30 tackles, missed tackles.
Yeah. Surprisingly, Utah was behind them.
Really?
Yep. This is just this is overall tackling grade. I can't run it down by specific total missed tackles, but in tackling grade, Utah was behind them, as well as West Virginia was behind them. Iowa State, as well as I think that's the 3. Yeah, that's the 3.
Yep. Man, and then French. It felt like French had way more missed tackles than 9. But again,
I know.
Really think about it, it's like, yeah, he didn't really get to the ball that well either. So
I think he just got beat before he could even make a tackle. That was the unfortunate situation there.
And one of the things that I noticed is, when I start to look through it all, right, just watching some film is like, dude, Martavius French gets caught in the wash so many times and just runs right into a block, and you're just kind of like, dude, like, and again, I don't have any of the athleticism Martavius French has whatsoever. So trust me on that. But it was kind of like, like that is, I couldn't understand that piece of it, but it does make sense. And when you start to really think about that, and he didn't get a lot of playing time as the year progressed though, as well.
Yeah, I mean, like you look at last season and you look at a guy like Nikhai Hill-Green and the way he came in, like I think that's closer to your true Mike linebacker who really controls the middle of the defense. And then you have a guy like Levant Bentley who's more of a kind of a thumper, I guess you could say, like ready to go downhill, ready to hit. Right. French and Hughes, I just don't think really meshed well together. Like when I looked at it on paper, I was like, oh, this makes sense. I can't remember which one. One of them was a leader in TFLs for the entire prior season, and then the other one had one of the best coverage grades. I think it was French had a good coverage grade, and Hughes was in TFLs. Either way, you look at it and you're like, oh, this is perfect. They get on the field, and it looks like they did not understand football together in the slightest.
Man,
so yeah.
Oh, yeah, that is, gosh, those numbers are 129. That's crazy. Mm-hmm. Holy cow.
Brutal.
Gosh, so, yeah, so there we are. And then who was the highest rated buff defender this year? So, sticking with our defensive theme.
Yeah, we're sticking in the defense. We'll give you a little peace of mind there. Good old Amari McNeil was the highest rated buff defender this year. I think he played well. I don't know about you. I think it was hard to find a couple of shining stars on this defense. But overall, I think top to bottom, you could argue was probably their best overall defender outside of Tawfiq, and you could maybe make a case for a couple other guys. Yeah,
London was
a couple other guys.
Yeah.
But does that pass the eye test for you?
Yeah, I think so. Amari McNeil, he was one that I was big on heading into the season. That I was like, man, this dude is going to wreck house. This dude's going to have a big year. And again, when you say that though, and you're talking about an interior defensive lineman, I don't, people want to look at sacks and tackles for loss. Like that's not a defensive tackle's job. It is to eat up blocks and, make, free those linebackers up to run a little bit. And, and Amari McNeil, he was still making plays though. So which is crazy though. Right. So,
Totally.
and the way that Colorado plays their fronts as well, especially their D tackles. Right. So, that passes the test for sure. Just curiosity, where did, if you have it, London Merritt, where did he land?
So London Merritt came in at number 6 on overall defensive rating. Really good. So I'll give you the run there. So Amari McNeil was in first. Tawfiq Thomas came in at second, only playing 4 games. Tawfiq Byard, came in at third, followed by Ben Finiseth, Carter Staubmeyer, and then London Merritt.
Wow, that Ben Finiseth is kind of how do you feel about that, where he's at?
I'll give you a surprising statistic. I was going to wait to save it until later. Ben Finiseth is the number 1 rated coverage player for the Colorado Buffaloes in the 2025 season. Yeah.
Okay.
I think a lot, like, if you remember probably in the offseason, a lot of people, there was a lot of discussion about Ben Finiseth playing for the Colorado Buffaloes. I love Ben Finiseth. Like in terms of like guys that I want on my team, the guys that I want representing the Colorado Buffaloes, that's the type of guy. He plays with heart, and he knows that even if he's not going to the NFL, he's willing to put his body on the line for him. But I mean, overall, like he had one of the highest tackling grades too. He had a 80.2 tackling grade and a 79.8 coverage grade. Like he played really well.
I can't blowing my mind for some reason, and I don't know why, because it's like, it felt like it was a revolving door back there, right? It's safety. Once they got Tawfiq Byard in, he took that and ran with it. And then it was always that other safety, right? And then it seems like they settled on John Slaughter as towards the end of the year.
I think Carter and Ben both got hurt, if I remember correctly. But because they both, like, Carter played 7 games, Carter played 8, Ben played 7. And I think that, and I don't remember if they were on the field for the Utah and the Arizona games, but I think everybody's grades tanked after those.
Yeah, those were the 2 blowouts where it feels like, Neely, you ever listen to Uncle Neely talk? He said something like, it was on his podcast. I can't remember the name of it, but he was, I was just tuning in, doing some work at work. Doing work at work, or computer work, I should say, doing some whatever it is, working on my computer. And I heard him say something, goes, outside of that Arizona State and Arizona game, the rest of them are outliers. He goes, like, those 2 are outliers. Sorry, those 2 are the outliers. It's not like we got our, our ass kicked every single week. He goes, we were in every single game. I was like,
so I bring this up, and not to go too far into the past, but I remember standing in the stands against Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech punts the ball away, and I tweeted this out, and there's 5 minutes left, and Caden Salter has the ball, I think, on our own 20. And I remember thinking in that moment, I said, this right here will tell us everything that we need to know about this season. And sure enough, I think they win. If it wasn't a 3 and out, it was a 6 and out or something of that nature. And right then and there, I was like, I don't know if this team has it, but at the same time, like, TCU, winnable game. The story of this season was winnable games because they were in most of them. You get to Utah, I don't know a team that could have won in that environment. That place was rocking. Plus they had the whole, like, leadership issue and the bye week thing. And like, that's where I just, at that point, you could see that they were kind of,
done,
lost at that point. But even the fact that, like, that happens and then they come back, they've got a winnable game against ASU. They've got towards rounding out, even playing their hardest at K-State. Like, I give them credit for not completely quitting, but they just were overmanned at that point.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It was, again, not a lot of teams are going to go into Utah and do that either. Like, you know what I mean? Like on, late night kickoff, like you're not in prime time, right? Not a lot of teams are going to win there at that, like that. I think if Texas Tech would have walked out, I don't know if Utah would have beat them, but they would have played them a lot tougher. I think if that was just kind of plug in Texas Tech there, versus earlier in the year. But it was that part of the season was tough though. So it was, gosh, what a rough season. But you could just hear, that sucked. And then real quick too, Georgia Tech. So we're season ticket holders. And so we were there, and there was a point, where they punted on like 4th and 1, at like midfield somewhere. I think they
Yeah.
might have even been in plus territory. And then there was another one like 4th and 3 they punted. And I remember I was telling my wife, I was like, yeah, that they remember those two if they lose this game. And she's like, okay. And she's like, it's early. I said, you know, there's 2 or 3 plays that you can look at where games lost. And I said, those two, regardless, they should have went for it. And they did. And that kind of gave you an idea of like, this offense has not figured it out. Like they're so far from it if you don't trust them enough to go at that point.
Yeah. And I think the other part about that, there was a really interesting point of the season, if you remember, because the world came down on Caden Salter. Like the world of Colorado Buffaloes was, I look back on it and I feel really bad for him because he didn't play a bad game. Like he didn't play a Shedeur Sanders game, which is where the embarrassment of riches comes into play, where you're like, you don't know what you had.
Yep.
But like, he played a good game, and then we go into Delaware, and he gets benched in the second quarter. And it's like that moment, I was like, oh, something's really off here, because any other quarterback and any other coach, in theory, probably would have just been like, that's our guy. You know, like he played a good game against a good team. He lost, and like, we're just going to ride it out. But something went really wrong there. Yeah.
And that's, you know, I think it was around maybe that is when that leadership stuff started to kind of surface. And then it was, gosh, when it fully came out, everybody was kind of like, oh shit, like, well, now it all is starting to make sense. And again, you know, was it really a leadership problem, or was it a like Pat Shurmur is calling these plays? We're like, that is dumb. Yeah, we're not going to do that. You know, that kind of piece there where you're kind of, I wonder what he was frustrated with. But again, you know, that's going to be something that we'll probably hear in a couple months, right? That'll start to finally leak out, and here's what actually happened, right? So,
and I wanted quickly, we skipped it. We have it on our agenda, so I want to make sure we get it. The lowest player on defense from this past season. Do you want to take a guess? Okay, and I'll give you one hint. There's one name that's on here I'm going to skip.
Tayon Parks.
It's not Tayon Parks. Tayon Parks is 37th. What this guy is I don't know if you would typically associate him with playing defense.
Harge.
Isaiah Harge.
Really?
In 3 games, he rated at a 43.3, which again, that was more necessity, I think, than anything. Like the same way Monatai Mani was playing D tackle. Like he just kind of ran out of bodies at a certain point. But do you want to guess the next one? This guy played a lot.
French or
Martavius
French.
French. A 44.9 in 10 games over 321 snaps and a 37.6 coverage rate. He didn't. I don't think he's a bad player. I think he was kind of just wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, I'm curious. I haven't heard any. Have you heard anything about him hitting the portal?
I think he's a senior.
Oh, he's okay. Well, then you don't have a choice. And then
I'm pretty sure him and Hughes are both seniors.
Okay, well that makes sense. And then Wester was too. Yep. Jeremiah Brown. Sorry, what am I thinking?
Jeremiah Brown. Where you lose. I'm pretty sure
those
Sean Myers might have another year because of the JUCO stuff. But all 3 your linebackers are gone.
Well, I mean,
which I'm not. People will say what they want if that's
Sorry, boss. I'll do it for you, man. Well, it's not that. Maybe they need to start over there. So, but that's interesting though. I mean, Harge makes sense. He didn't get a lot of burn on defense this year either, and that was probably for good reason.
I didn't think he played terrible when I was watching him, but again, like you're just at the point where you're banking. You could have pulled a guy out of the stands to play corner for you. It was that depleted. So overall, I mean, like you look at the overall team. I'll just jump into that if that's all right with you.
Yeah.
Overall, as a defense, they rated at a 71.6, which was 114th in the country. Their run defense was at a 77.1, which was 92nd in the country. And to give the viewers context, in case anybody's not familiar with PFF grades, a 60 is average. So in theory, they were above average, just not that like the top teams, the Indianas of the world, are at 90s. So the Buffs were at a 71. Their run defense was at a 73.4, which was 63rd in the country.
Wow. Because I think to finish the season, they were like 135th in yards per game given up out of 136. Huh.
Yeah. You take the outliers out of that. Again, like Utah and Arizona is going to skew you a little bit. But on that, I'll keep going if you want me to.
Yeah. Keep going. This is interesting.
So Carter was their best run defender. Carter Stoutmeyer was their best run defender. Your safety was your best run defender.
Never good.
Followed by Amari McNeil and then Jeremiah Brown. It tells you a lot about your season when your safety is your best run defender.
And we were talking about this is somebody said, well, Tawfiq Byard had like 13 tackles. I was like, that's not good. And they're like, why? Is like, that means he's getting to the second level, third level almost, right? At that point. And your safety's like making tackles 6-7 yards down the field, if that, right? So
it reminds me a lot of when it came out that Quentin Gibson was the leader in the country in return yards, and nobody realized that just meant that we were getting the ball kicked to us the most in the country.
I saw that and the media was like, yeah, he led the country in return yards. And then I was like, I'm just not, I already put 2 and 2 together. I was like, I'm not going there, guys.
I'm not going to say anything.
I'm not going to say why, but I knew it, and I'm glad you affirmed that though.
Yeah, 100%. Keeping on, Keaton Wade led the team in pass rush snaps, which it makes sense. He was mostly down in pass rush situations. Arden Walker was second, and then JB was third in pass rush snaps. Arden Walker led in total pressures with 15. He had 4 sacks, which led the team as well as 18 QB hurries, which also led the team.
Man, those are not high numbers.
Yeah, I think you wanted to see a little bit more out of Keaton Wade this season. I'll be honest, like the whole Samuel Okunlola thing and him kind of, from what I understand, ducking out after game 1 was really disappointing. I wanted to see more out of Keaton Wade. I feel for Keaton Wade because I think had he wanted to, he could have gotten a really big bag last season.
Yep.
I don't think I think they were really high on him having a really big year. And then after probably about 8 or 9 games, they were like, we need to see what we have in some of the younger guys.
Yep.
But overall, I think the story of this defense is just you're just not good enough. You had a couple of guys that really shined, but overall you're not going to win a lot of games with your best player being in the low 70s.
No, this is, it matches the eye test, right? These numbers match the eye test of what we've seen this past season for sure.
Yeah. I'll give you another surprising one. Tawfiq Byard led in tackles on run plays with 46. So again, your other safety on plays where they were running the ball had the most tackles.
Makes sense watching it, right? How many? Yeah. What about run plays? Does it show how many Preston Hodge had?
In terms of stops?
For on running plays, will it break it down to that kind of?
Yeah. So Preston Hodge, how many tackles? You want tackles?
Just do they have run tackles, not in coverage?
Yeah. So on run plays, he had 25 tackles. He missed 6 tackles on runs. Mm-hmm. He had 9 stops, which again is just when you have a play that the offense comes around. So 3rd down stops. Okay. He had 5 penalties on run plays.
Okay, so it makes sense. So just the reason I'm asking is we went in, I went in 1 week, brought it to the show. We talked about how they defend read option, which is
awful.
Yeah, it just the schematically how they try to defend it. It was like they left Preston Hodge on an island because they would run towards him, and it was like, hey, that's your corner. You probably. So it was. I was curious to see what those numbers look like because they would leave him on an island. Now makes sense because I would assume he's just diving at linemen's legs and just doing whatever even defensive holding and those kind of things. So that doesn't surprise me.
It's unfortunate. Preston Hodge, I was really glad when he got another year of eligibility. I was super excited because he played really well last season, or not very well, 2 seasons ago, whatever the last Shador year. He got picked on this year. Yeah. If you look at it, I was going to get into it later, but I'll jump into it now. Yeah. He, in terms of targets, plays that he was targeted as a defender, had twice as many as the next closest guy. I think it was 68 targets. The next closest guy had 35.
Dang, he should have went pro last year. Instead of coming back, he tanked his stock. I don't even know if he'll get drafted now.
It's hard to win when you have a single. And I don't think Preston's bad, but he's not fast enough. He was not schemed very well. And again, I just think overall, a lot of players were just put in a bad situation. The last thing I'll say on this part with the defense, London Merritt had the shortest depth of tackle at 0.4 yards, meaning he was getting to the ball early and getting to the ball often, followed by Kylan Salter and Tavian Coleman. Side note. Really, like, I was excited about Tavian Coleman. I was excited about Gabriel Lightfoot. Really, really just like unfortunate, you know?
Yeah, I'm curious. And they haven't said anything about him hitting Lightfoot hitting the portal, right? He's going to get a medical, right?
He's going to get a medical.
Okay. Good.
I don't know. Like, this goes back to the general portal discussion. I don't know how intriguing a guy coming off an injury, you know, is on the D line. Right. Like, I'm assuming his best bet's gonna be to stay in Boulder if he can. Yep.
Agreed. Yeah, I was really looking forward to him because he was good at Fresno State. So I'm still looking forward to watching him play. So that is one. And then, man, Jaheim Otis, I haven't heard anything, nothing like that. But gosh, if they can just get him to work, you know what I mean?
I got to be honest. Like, I don't think Jaheim Otis loves football.
No,
I think Jaheim Otis, similar to like a guy like a Taco Fall in basketball who just was born to play basketball because of his like body. I don't think Jaheim Otis loves football. And I was really excited because like I thought he was coming from a situation where he was put off at Alabama and he was going to come here and be a demon. I don't know what happened there. And the other thing is like you went from having a guy like Block Bully last year who was a true hard-nosed nose tackle to you're rotating, you know, Amari and Jaheim and all these guys that like are kind of hybrids. It was just a really weird D-line situation. And then you got Brandon Davis-Swain coming in game one as a true a redshirt freshman. That was the moment where I was like, oh gosh, this is off.
If they can just, man, like just get him to, you know, even if you could tell him like, dude, just buy in like 30-40%, that dude is like a first round talent, like just unbelievable talent. Because, you know, and again in person, I don't know, Miles, do you have season tickets?
I do. Yeah.
Watching him, like he would go in and I would just watch and I was like, holy cow, dude, like what the hell? Like you are so good. There were some plays where he would just like he push his guy all the way back in, right? The guy blocking him and just disruptive. And I'm like, dude, like what the hell? Like, dude, you could be a top 20 pick in the draft if you were just to go work, like give it 50% of what like somebody gives 100%, and you would be a top pick in the draft, dude. Like it is frustrating.
I'll be really intrigued to see what happens with him. I don't think he has another year of eligibility. Not that I know of.
He's a junior.
He's a junior. Okay. So then he would.
Yep.
I think he could do really well at a lower level. I don't think he's going to go back up. I don't think you go from Alabama to Colorado, have the season that you have, and then go back up. But at the end of the day, I don't like. That's one of those guys. Again, going back to the whole portal discussion, where I think if it was, you know, Coach Box or Coach Phillips bringing him in, and then Deion sits across from him, I don't think Deion gives him the money that they do.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, I'm curious to see what Jaheim does do. But man, that is gosh, that dude can be a monster. So
totally.
Let's jump to the offensive side. Who was the Buffs' highest graded offensive player? So, and I think I know the answer to that, but I don't know who it is, but I think I know who it is.
Yeah. Highest rated offensive player was Zarian McGill. He had a 72.5. And again, rating that the average was a 60.
Okay.
That's not good.
Where was
your next? Seaton actually didn't come in all that well. I didn't write him down off the top, but let me grab it real quick. Seaton was at 10. He had an overall grade of a 65.8. His pass blocking was 83.9, but his run blocking was a 52.
Oof.
I'll give you the short and sweet. Nobody had good run blocking this season. And it tanked a lot of the O-line scores. But you had Zarian McGill. Tyler Brown played 4 snaps. He was technically number 2. I didn't see him at all.
I don't remember
Juju was number 3, so he's technically your number 2. And then Simeon Price. So Juju had a 70.3 and Simeon Price had a 69.3.
Okay. No, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm curious about Seaton, though, because that And again, we were talking about it earlier in the season of I wonder why they're running so much zone blocking. And again, every school's going to run it to an extent, but it's like you're massive. You guys need to start doing gap power. That's what you guys should be doing. And it just blew my mind how much zone blocking they ran and we're trying to run when it's like, dude, just go cap on cap and let your offensive line do their thing. And so it was, again, I don't know if what the splits were or anything like that with between the two. I don't even know if PFF offers that, but it is I'm just curious. So I don't know if you saw the same thing. I was saying just run gap power here.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I like the part of the problem is it scheme or is it personnel? I think they had the personnel to have really good run blocking. I think it's hard for a guy like Jordan Seaton when you play all of last year in basically pass pro and you're trying to switch over to run blocking now when you haven't really had much of a college experience with it. There were moments, like we'll get into it, their best runs were outside runs. Anything really up the middle wasn't that fruitful for them. But I mean, overall, the run scheme in and of itself was just unenthusiastic. And so and it was very predictable, and that doesn't help. Like runs straight up the middle on first down, inside zones on first down. Nobody's going to grade out well when the defense can predict what you're going to do. You can be the best run blocker in the world, but if the defense knows what's coming, they're just going to stack the box. They're going to stuff the run. It's going to be a nightmare for you. So, and that's what happened.
And it was very predictable. What 100%. I'm sure we could call it, and it just the way they were built. They were humongous offensive linemen. Typically in your zone blocking scheme, you're going to have more, slender. I don't want to say slender, less weight, and they're going to be more athletic. Where the buffs were just massive. So I still that's where I was struggling with it this season.
I mean, I don't know how you're going to pull, Larry Johnson to the other side of the line. That guy, he's not moving. Phillip Houston, if Phillip Houston was healthy, that's a guy you pull to the other side of the line. With this go-go offense and Brendan Marion, they're going to need agile offensive linemen. They're not going to need just brick walls there. They're going to need guys that can move. And
what's interesting is a guy like Carday Smith at right tackle fits that. So
totally.
Very agile, quick. 100%. So very excited.
I hope they keep him around. I'm not sure just with how he was recruited by Phil Lodeholt, but I hope I haven't seen him very much. I hope they keep him around.
Yeah, me too. Is there any surprises that jumped out?
I mean, your best runner technically was Caden Salter, Simeon Price, and then Cam Michael was actually your third. Cam Michael was your third best runner. On pass plays, DeKalen Taylor in his limited action was your best pass rated player, however they define that. And then Omarion Miller came in at a 71.5. Terrell Timmons was your third best player in passing plays at a 70.8. You had 3 O-line over 80 in pass block, which was Hill, Seaton, and McGill, and only 1 over 60 in run blocks. So your pass pro was amazing. Your run block was not there.
Man, what in the it makes sense, all right? You start thinking, and the more you keep the numbers, I guess, just taking it all in, now you're kind of like, shit, makes sense. So oh, holy cow.
Again, at a certain point, you it's really weird because again, you have a scrambling quarterback or at least a dual threat quarterback that wants to run. You don't have the scheme to allow him to run. You don't have him running on plays. Caden Salter was allergic to a good pocket. There were so many times where I'm like, I don't know why you're running. I don't know why you're leaving.
You're creating pressure, dude. Yeah,
you're putting yourself into more tense situations than you need to. He just seemed very unsure of that.
That was BYU. Do you remember they just punted it and they're just, they was on the 35 and they said, verse kicking a field, we're going to let you try to beat us. And they were just we're just going to stand back rushing 4. And he was just I don't know what to do with it, and just threw that. So I think, he would run into just that game is when we started to kind of see where it would just reared its head out there in the open where you were you're running into pressure. You are absolutely creating pressure here.
So I made this. This is one of the notes that you had at the end of the call, or at the end of the script. But for good and bad, based off it, right? Yeah. The good, Salter when he was running. The bad, Salter when he was passing. The good, Salter down the seam. The bad, Salter when pressured. When Salter was pressured, he had a 29.2 rating. I have borderline never seen a lower grade than that. He had a 26.0 passing rating when he was pressured. And I'm not even talking a full blitz. I'm just talking general pressure. When he would run, when he was blitzed, he was a 60.7, which is just like, I could never really figure out why he would run. And it felt like even when he was blitzed, he wasn't like, in theory, when you're blitzed and you scramble out and you start to run, like that's your best opportunity to gain some good yards. He just like didn't look good when he would.
Yeah. Huh. I mean, that makes sense though, right? Because even he just looked uncomfortable all season, right? Every snap. Yeah. Man, holy cow. Like, so it just, gosh, this is crazy though. You just start looking on this thing. The more and more you start diving into these numbers, what you're sharing, it is, this is insane though, right? And it just that, perspective of, we were living it through the season. And now as we reflect back on it, it's kind of like, yeah, it makes sense why you guys are 3-9.
Yep. 100%. I mean, you look at like the bottom of the offense, unfortunately, Ronald Coleman and his one, that was just so bad. And I don't want to even put him on there as being the worst, but technically that's true. Yeah. Ryan Staub was the second. I feel bad for him. He was put in a situation I don't think he was prepared for either. No. And then Dominique Ponder, same deal. And then Andre Roy, the right tackle from Maryland. Not a good season for him. I feel like he was thrust into a situation with Larry Johnson being out, but like not a great season from him overall.
Holy cow, yeah.
He was below a 50.
And then I saw here Juju had 6 big-time throws.
Yeah, this is where it gets a little interesting. So, again, going back to the good and the bad. Yep. Salter when he was running, good. Salter down the seam, good. Salter when he was kept clean, good. Salter running when not blitzed, good. Salter when he was thrown over the middle, bad. Pressured, bad. Running when blitzed, bad. Juju, 6 big-time throws. 12.9% came when blitzed, meaning that he's feeling the pressure and he's willing to make a big time throw. That's in 4 games. Caden Salter in the other 8 or 7, technically how you quantify it, 7 big time throws, 0 when blitzed. So when pressure came, he was not throwing that ball. Juju, when the pressure's in his face, he lets it fly. Like he's willing to take a hit and let it go. Yeah. It just feels like Caden didn't really trust his own arm a little bit.
Man. And I think that was evident just even watching him, right? You would see like a play open and he just wouldn't shoot the ball,
Yeah. Some other kind of just random statistics that throw at you. Juju had more time to throw, even though he had worse offensive linemen. I don't think he had Seaton in the game for 3 out of his 4. He had more time to throw than Caden did, technically. Caden had 32% of his plays be play action when he was dropping back. He had an 8-7 touchdown to interception ratio when he was in play action.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
not good.
Goes against the grain of everything we thought, right? With Caden.
Exactly. You would think that would be his bread and butter.
Uh-huh.
Did not work out. He also, I don't think he had any touchdowns when he was in non-play action plays. Like when he was just in shotgun or under center, he just did not have any touchdowns. Just didn't work for him.
Jesus. Holy cow.
Juju, similar percentage, 30-ish% on play action, but he had 4 touchdowns with no play action. So he much prefers that, I think.
Yeah. Holy cow, man. This is just makes sense. It absolutely just makes sense on why this team is where they were, right? To finish the season. I mean, I know that you tons of data, it sounds like this is something you like love to look at, right, Miles? Like just love this stuff. So this is you're going to be our data guy from now on. But
yeah, absolutely.
With this being said, though, based off of this data, eye test, all those things, where do you think improvements are needed?
Oh, such a good question. I mean, overall, I think you've got a lot of what you need in just the general scheme. I think the main thing that it boiled down to is if I in the stands could see what was going to happen on a play-to-play basis, anybody that was on the defensive sideline could see it as well. So you got a guy now that's going to bring in some creativity. You have a guy that's going to bring in a lot more of an intentional run effort. Sorry if you can hear my dogs in the background.
You're good.
A little bit more 12 personnel. I think they try to get, like you saw Zach Atkins get baked in a little bit more later in the season. I think that's going to be important for them. They're going to need more tight ends, Corbin, Zane being brought in as well. And then more just like, again, more creativity on first down, more first down passing. I think you got to figure out what you're doing with Draylen Miller. That was the other part we didn't talk about this so far. One of the worst offensive players this season, and it's such an insane flip from last year. I think you got to figure that out as soon as possible. Is he a running back or is he a wide receiver? And we got to like really develop that, whatever it's going to be,
and stick to that. And
100%.
Because I wonder, him playing in that role at running back, wonder if that was originally the plan, but just their running backs just got banged up all season long. So it's just, I think if you let him be a running back, he's going to be one of the best running backs on the team, if not the best. But if you let him be receiver, right, there's that slot Debo Samuel role, right? Like we like to call. And that's what you need to use him as, right? Because, not very many times, I think it was once, right, where he was running down the middle. I think it was against BYU. He caught that seam ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right at the seams in the back of the end zone. Is that who he's going to be, right? So it's just all these different things. And it sounds like you're pretty high. Then you think Brendan Marion is the perfect guy to make all this puzzle fit together?
I do. I really do. And again, I just go back to the fact of like, if there's a quarterback that I would want running the Brendan Marion offense, it's Julian Lewis. I just think that he's so well equipped to have perfect accuracy in various, like you look at his throws from the season in the different quadrants, he's lights out on most all of them. So I think that he's going to be the perfect OC for this team. I think you got a good amount of good runners, good hard runners. I think like a guy like Quentin Gibson, you're going to balance that out with Draylen in the slot. But you got Omari Miller coming back. Oh, you got Joseph Williams hopefully coming back. These guys, if they stick in, they stay to it. You give like Omari Miller 9, receptions next year. He could easily have 700 yards off of those. So it's going to be about efficiency and it's going to be about make the most of your chances. I think our receivers are built for it.
Yep, I do too. I'm a big fan of Marion Miller. I think he's one of the best wide receivers in the country. I'm excited to see what he does next year, and I think one of the big reasons it sounds like he's staying is because of Brendan Marion. So, and as well as JoJo. So, I'm excited for this hire. The more and more we start talking, the more and more people I start talking to, because I'm not going to sit here and be like, Miles, I watched a ton of Sacramento State. I watched zero. I just remember him at UNLV, and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. That is where I know you from. So I remember UNLV like that. So
yeah. And I think the other thing that people need to remember too is like they're not safe. Omarion Miller, for as good of a player that he is, did not show enough off the field this season, especially again going back to that whole like bye week thing.
Yep.
If they can find a guy, and I'm not reporting anything, don't take me at like a guy like Nick Marsh. If Nick Marsh wants to come to Boulder, Deion's going to give him an opportunity. You know what I mean? Like they're going to have guys that are going to try and come for that spot. They're going to be guys that want to come play in Boulder because of this system. So I don't expect any of them to be locked into any spots. You're going to have to really earn it, and you're going to have to prove that you fit the system well and that you can not just play, but and the other part about that offense that's really important is it's really based on blocking from the receivers, which is super important. And we know very well that was not a strength from this past season. So you're going to have to block and you're going to have to want to play for your teammates and not just be out there to create highlights.
Yep. I agree. This next, I said this is the most important off season of the prime era, and that is what's happening. And it's one of those things that programs either going to go up or go down. This is that off season. This is that turning point. This is where we'll look back and say, one way or the other, right? One way or the other. This was for the better, or that's when, things start to derail, right? And hopefully not that one. So,
I'll say I lost a lot of money betting on the Buffs this year. I'm not going to do it again next year, but I am putting my stamp down. I think they're going to get it right. I think they're going to have a bounce back. I feel very good about the hires. I feel very good about the team that's going to be sticking around. And I'm excited. I don't know about you, but like, I feel the energy coming back in Boulder, and I feel energetic, optimistic.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited too. I'm Julian Lewis. I mean, that is Yeah, I cannot wait. I, had my Julian Lewis jersey this past year and would wear it, game one. Almost every game, I want to say. But I'm excited for him. This portal, though, I think is going to be massive. It's going to be huge, and I think some fans are going to be really happy with this.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be very happy with this portal class. Is
100%.
a little bit of noise I'm hearing. So, but yeah. So Miles, yeah, we got to do this again for sure. We'll talk offline here after. But you guys, just really appreciate you being on the show. Just all this insight. I know we ran over, typically we go 45 minutes to 55.
It was a long season. You got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, this was fantastic, man. So, yeah, we're going to have a lot more conversations, but just love having you on the show, man.
Yeah, appreciate the time. Invite me on whenever I'm around. For anybody else who's still watching, right there, Miles High Buffs on Twitter. Let us know if you want me back. I'd happy to be here.
And make sure to you guys hit the subscribe button, share this out with everyone. Again, this show is surely but slowly, like I told you guys, we've hit a bump over the last couple. Holy cow, we hit a bump over the last couple months, but we've been growing. We have a long off season ahead of us. Portal starting, and we'll see if we piece together a show for this Friday. Again, we're now hitting into off season time, and news is slow. So,
if you're in my circle, news is everywhere. So we'll find things to talk about. And I think once people start to see the class that's going to come in from the portal, they're going to lock back in. So,
Yep. And we'll be here for it all. And again, Miles, during the portal, definitely. So, but again, guys, make sure to give me a follow, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, give me a follow on X at Manny_303, IG at 303_Manny. Again, any one of our major podcast networks, you guys can podcast platform. You guys can find us. And again, just thanks a ton for being on the show with us, Miles.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for having me. Go Buffs.
Go Buffs, baby. All right, guys. Have a good you're welcome to do it too, just like Travis, man. That's how exactly. We end. That's how we end every time. So there you go. All right, guys. Enjoy your week. Stay posted. We'll see if some news comes out this week. And talk about possibly a show on Friday. But again, do appreciate you guys. Without you, there is no show. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll catch you guys, I want to say, tentatively Friday.
Cool.